Hi, everyone. I'm Henry DeVries from Agency Rainmaker TV. This is the show where we help agency rainmakers, those agency owners of advertising, public relations, digital marketing agencies, make it rain. What we mean is find right fit clients. And I'm so excited today because I've been following Reuben Swartz's writings for a while, and I wanted to get Reuben on the show. Reuben, it's so great to have you here. Tell us who you serve, because you're the anti-CRM guy.
Well, thanks for having me, Henry. It's great to be here. And I didn't come up with the term anti-CRM. One of my customers did. He said, Ruben, you don't do CRM, you do anti-CRM. And he meant it as a big compliment, which is how I took it because I've tried dozens of CRMs. And what I realized later was that they're all built for a VP of sales to keep track of a sales team. And what's particularly ironic for me is I was a sales and marketing consultant. I was helping Fortune 500 companies with their sales and marketing. So I had a front row seat to all of this. But somehow, when I came back to my tiny little firm, I thought I should be using the same tools that my enterprise clients were using. And I went through dozens of different CRMs, always thinking that I was some kind of idiot because I just couldn't quite get it. And what I realize now is those tools were not built for me. They were built for a VP of sales to track the sales team. And I would love to tell you and your listeners that I saw, there's all these independent consultants like us who like doing the work and we don't like the CRMs. Let's have a CRM for the rest of us. That's not what happened at all. I started building things to plug into those enterprise tools because the first thing you notice is what's missing. Ironically, just adding more stuff in there when really the big problem is there's too much stuff. But one thing led to another, and I had customers telling me, hey, this is great stuff. Can you just make Mimiran do the CRM so I can get rid of my CRM? I hate my CRM. And of course, I said, no, that would be crazy. The world doesn't need another CRM. And if for some reason it did, I'd be the last person who should build it. I hate CRMs. And they kept saying, well, that's why you should do it because you understand why we're so frustrated. And it took me forever to realize why things were not working for us and that I could actually make a difference. So that's the long story behind Mimiran becoming an anti-CRM. It is not a strategic plan that I came up with, unfortunately. It's just what my customers dragged me to, and I'm glad that they did.
One of the most successful articles I ever wrote for Forbes Digital was on like what CRM, what database you should choose as a small agency. And I felt bad because the article says, I don't know, I interviewed all these people, nobody has the answer. So it felt like, you know, bait and switch, clickbait. It sounded like that. But, there was Goldmine and CRM, and you could try Salesforce, and oh, you should do constant contact over here. Um, please tell us what you're telling people on what they should do with this.
Well, first of all, I get asked this question all the time. It's a question so many people have. What CRM should I use? What's the best CRM, right? It's like asking, what's the best restaurant in town? What car should I buy? Well, it all depends on your needs, your budget, what you're trying to do, etc. So I don't have anything bad to say about the other tools, but the way I like to think of it is at some point you get tired of your spreadsheet and it's like you're going to the grocery store and you're walking home with the groceries and you think, well, gosh, this is a little tiring. There's got to be a better way to do this. And people say, yeah, you should get a vehicle. And you're like, well, what vehicle should I get? I don't know. Well, and somebody says, well, here, I know a consultant, vehicle consultant. He's going to get you hooked up. Next thing you know, you're trying to park your space shuttle at the grocery store because that's what the sales and marketing industrial complex is about, right? It's about selling these big, fancy, powerful systems. And the idea is, well, you don't need all the features, but it's fine. Just go park your space shuttle or your 747 at the grocery store and you'll be okay. And then they get surprised that you're back to walking home with your groceries because really all you need is a little car so you don't have to carry things by hand. And I think that's what's the big difference between what I'm trying to do and what the traditional CRM is for, which is for a sales leader to track a sales team. I'm talking to folks who don't have a sales team. They're a rainmaker, but they're not a salesperson. They need to go create and nurture relationships, but they don't want to feel like a salesperson. They want to feel more like a doctor, right? With a waiting room full of patients. People come
Mhm.
in, you have a great conversation about the subject that you both deeply care about. Some people need surgery, stat. Some people take two of these and call me in 6 months. Some of them should be referred to a doctor down the hall. But that's the kind of mindset that my tribe really thrives on. It's not the used car salesman seeing someone approaching and trying to chase them across the lot. That's the opposite of what they want to do. And that's a lot of what the traditional CRMs are really built for. So it leaves them with too much complexity and the wrong mindset. This way they get to show up as themselves, as somebody who's trying to be of service. And if they do a good job with their positioning, which is sort of the foundation of all of this, that waiting room is going to be full of the right type of patients.
We have a message here that it's not about finding strangers on the internet. And that's not how you're going to win this. It's with relationships. So tell me, if I don't need the 747, what vehicle do I need if I'm an agency with 10 to 50 employees, or I'm an independent marketing consultant and it's me and a virtual assistant? What are you recommending?
Well, it all depends, right? So, of course, there's this temptation to say, well, my stuff is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And if you're the sole rainmaker, or you've got a couple of rainmakers, maybe senior partners in your agency, if it's you and a VA, Mimiran's going to be a great fit for that kind of relationship-based business because it's all about quality over quantity. It's about tracking referrals. It's about making introductions for other people. It's not about being a sales rep. Now, some of these agencies, they're at a point where they want to start hiring a sales team, and that's when you're going to need a lightweight traditional CRM.
Like a Salesforce or something like that? Or
Well, I mean, there are
we don't
people
want to
who
name
say
names, but
I don't want to name names, but I think of Salesforce as the space shuttle, right? And there are simpler ones. There's less annoying CRM. There's Pipedrive. There's a million of them. That
yeah.
if you say, hey, I'm getting out of the Rainmaker game, I'm hiring a team to do this for me. The leader of that team is going to need a traditional CRM.
Okay. And I'm interested too. I'll follow up and look at more information because we're using Nimble and but we've got constant contact over here and we've got I wish could say we're on an Access database. Microsoft Excel, I believe we use 10% of our brains and only 10% of Microsoft Office. So, something there. But I know this is not uh, it doesn't feel good. So I'm glad you're out there. Let's get to this next topic about how do you make it rain? How do you find right fit clients for Mimiran?
Well, first of all, I just love the phrase right fit clients. I think everyone should be focused on that. There are far too many solo and small agencies who think they're Coca-Cola. They're trying to get the next million prospects, which just doesn't make any sense. But it's an easy thing to
Yeah,
say, I've got this number, and if the number is bigger, that's better. But what you really care about is the right fit prospects, right?
right.
One right fit prospect is infinitely better than 100 random people who grab something that doesn't actually relate to them and they're not the right patient for you. So I think that the first step to your point is let's make sure we know who a right fit client is. And as far as I know, Mimiran's the only CRM that actually has a tool that helps you lay out who's your ideal client, how are you different, what kind of problem do you solve, how is it different than what they might do otherwise, et cetera. Because getting that foundation of positioning is so important to everything else. If you don't have that, you're building on quicksand. And then the next step is if you're in a relationship business, you're in a conversation business. And as an introvert who doesn't like selling, who's a techie, I spent decades running away from that. I wanted nothing to do with it. I wanted to get out of conversations instead of using the technology to get me into the right conversations. And that's what we really want to do to make it rain. Understand who we want to talk to and then talk to them. It's really that simple. Prospects and partners. And if you're doing those things, you're doing them in a virtuous cycle, good things are going to happen. The rain's going to fall. May not fall on any given day, right? The weather's unpredictable. But in general, you're doing those things. The rain's going to fall. Your garden's going to grow.
Tell me about the Sales for Nerds podcast.
Well, basic idea is there's a whole bunch of us like me who have some kind of technical or business skill. And then we start a consulting firm around that. And then we go, oh crap, I got to make it rain. How do I do that, right? And you've got a whole bunch of helpful things to say here, but the idea behind Sales for Nerds was, well, one, I just wanted to at the time it was all in person, so I would bring a bottle of wine to someone's office and interview them, and we'd drink the wine together and have a good time. And now everything's gone virtual, so you have to bring your own. But the idea is the same, right? Have a good conversation that's going to be helpful for people, and also make it casual, make it not feel like a business interview at Harvard Business School, but almost like a chat at a cafe.
The wine reminded me of my sister's book club, which I say is a wine club with a book problem.
Right, right.
Okay. Well, Ruben, this has been great. Is there anything more you'd like to add before we go?
Well, one thing that I think is interesting about us getting together finally is on that same panel in my tool where you lay out, here's my ideal client, here's a blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of different ways of rearranging those words. So, here's how it might apply to my website, here's how it might apply to my LinkedIn, et cetera. And then one of the tabs is, here's how it might apply to my book. So if any of my folks are listening to this, looking at that book panel saying, gosh, it would be great to actually turn this into a book, you might want to talk to Henry.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'd love to have Ruben back. He has deep expertise and always is welcome on our show. So until next time, make it rain.